Hi, everyone, and good morning, Susan. Welcome to the End of Life Journey and Beyond, the Sands of Time. My name is Lisa Strahs-Lorenc, and I'm a bereavement specialist. And so good to see you again. We took a short break.
We took a short break. You got to visit some of your family. I feel like we haven't had a chance to catch up, but I'm happy that we're here today. Today's a little tough. You were gone for a while, Lisa, and I was going through, I'd say, a lot of things. Uh, really lost, and this is what we talk about, right?
Yep.
One of my best friends died a couple weeks ago. I spent 8 weeks in the hospital with her, and we didn't think it would result in her passing, but it did. And she was a mentor, she was a teacher, my friend, and she was my personal cheerleader in life. And you would think that an end of life doula, right, that this experience have been a little bit lighter for me, but quite the opposite. Learning everything I have about end of life these past 5 years, it did help. It did give me more knowledge, but the emotions and the feelings were still there.
Yep.
And, you know, it was just as overwhelming to me as all the loss that I had with my family members, which was now 7 to 9 years ago when I suffered that 2 year loss period with 14 people in my
Yeah.
life. Um, but today, we're here to talk about losing a dear friend. And this is an important subject, how difficult this is, along with the grief of how painful um, it is to have that missing puzzle piece in your life and how it will linger in your heart for a long time to come. And hopefully, in knowing this and hearing a little bit about, what we will talk about today, that you'll know it's okay to feel what you're feeling and for as long as you need it to.
That's right.
So now I have to listen to some of my own advice today, and I can't guarantee that our conversation today won't be raw and certainly heartfelt this week, and for many of you, I'm sure. But it's our hope to support and guide you through your own loss in just a small and meaningful way.
Yes, and I do want to say I appreciate you sharing your personal feelings. There is a lot personal that happens here for us. But, people look at us as the people who know or professionals or whatever, and they see that we personally feel things, and it's sometimes really hard to share the big advice or the things that, we say. And because it is a personal feeling, and best friends and dear friends are. So I did do some research, and I just want to say why this is so hard for people. Best friends and dear friends play a really big role in our lives, and I don't think people realize that. They're the ones that we trust, they're the ones that we share and laugh with. Sometimes, they see the hard and worst parts of us, and it's really a difficult and heartbreaking experience. From everything that I started researching and read, and whether they passed away recently or even many years ago, it's still hard to handle this kind of grief. And again, we have said it before and we'll say it again, grieving process is unique for every single person. And so there's no right or wrong way to cope. But losing a best friend is just very, very heartbreaking in a very unique way, other than, the other family members that perhaps we've talked about in the past. So I just want everybody to know that. And
I used to have a sign here in my house, in my
yeah.
kitchen. It said something like, everyone welcome. You don't get, you'll know it when I say it. You don't get to choose your family, but you
Mm,
do get to choose your friend.
that's right. That's right.
Something like that.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I have the family, friends are our chosen family, our family of choice. Yeah,
Right.
it's true. It's true. Um,
Yeah.
so, if you want to start sharing, your part, I have some things to share from myself and also from my daughter who lost a friend very young. Um, and just the experiences in general, and some advice.
Well,
So
this just surprised me. It surprised me because as an end of life doula, you'd think I'd see some of the things that happened over the course of 8 weeks of being with her in the hospital. And it was a roller coaster ride because even though every other day, we were in danger zone. You know, one of her organs was shutting down. But then the following day, all the numbers got better and everything was okay, and we were looking forward to the future.
right,
So it changed so much from one day to the other that it confused me. It even confused me, somebody who works with clients who I see death all the time, and it confused me. And her positive spirit is what really confused the whole situation because no matter what she was going through, every day when a new doctor would come in and she had a team of them, they would say, "How are you feeling today?" And she'd say, "Oh, so much better than yesterday. I'm glad I'm over yesterday and looking forward to tomorrow. I'm doing great." So that confused me because I was imagining myself laying in that hospital bed thinking, I don't know if I could be that positive, and I'm a positive person, but I don't know if I could have been as positive as she was. So she continued to be that way through the 8 weeks, and we didn't know she was actually going to pass until about 2 days before,
mm, wow,
out of all those weeks. So we didn't know. So when we transferred her over to hospice, she was only there, sorry, for probably 15 hours, 18
wow,
hours.
wow,
But she passed in a beautiful room with beautiful windows, and that's the space that she was waiting for, not that ICU bells and whistles
yes,
room, I call it, right?
yes, yes, yes.
So, and it was tough, and all the family members couldn't make it. She was cremated, and they couldn't make it right away. So her sister had held off the funeral for about 9 days, 10 days. And that waiting period, at first, I thought it was nice. Like, oh, I could finally breathe a little bit. But as the days went on, I started getting more anxious.
Mhm.
Like, oh, we have to do this. We have to get this done. The waiting was, you know, causing me a lot of anxiety. And then finally, the day of the service came, and I'm a funeral celebrant as well. So of course, I had to do my friend's funeral because
Yes.
nobody else could do as good a job as I could, and knowing her like I did. So we had many speakers. It was a beautiful occasion. It was occasion, whatever you
Mhm.
want to call it. Um, and it was okay. And I thought, wow, now, all right, we have a little bit of closure. She has a great support group. There are many friends that are involved, and we're all texting and in group chats and calling each other. The support system is big. So make sure you bring that support system in because you're all there to help each other during that time. And I know not everybody has a support system and a circle of friends. So it'll be a little bit tougher for you taking this on alone when you're losing a friend. And sometimes it's a tragedy and you don't even know, and they're gone from one day to the next, and here you are, and your world explodes. However, um, it's been a lot tougher than I thought it would be. You know, I know she became such a close friend to me, but she wasn't a family member, say,
Mhm.
right? And we've only been great friends for between 4.5 and 5 years now. I didn't think it would be this difficult. I didn't realize how we were on the phone every day and every night for 3 hours at a time,
Mhm.
and how we coached each other's businesses, and how we were in so many of the same groups and mastermind groups. And I didn't realize how hard that this would be for me in losing a friend because really it's left a hole in my heart. But I do want to say that, and this is an important thing, that it depends how long ago you've lost your friend, or maybe you haven't yet. But I heard myself talking to many people from the day that she passed till 9 or 10 days later when we had the service. And I heard myself continuously saying to people on the phone or in person that I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I have a missing hole in my heart. I have a missing piece of my puzzle now. I don't know who I'm going to talk to at night. I don't know who I'm going to pick up the phone and call when I have an important question to ask, and who's going to answer that now. And I was on the phone with another very good friend, and I said it. And all of a sudden, the word it was like an aha moment. Like I heard her in heaven with a horn saying, "What was that? Stop that. Stop saying and instead embrace the important relationship that we had." How important was that relationship to me? How much did I learn from her? How much did I love her? How much did I respect and appreciate her and have gratitude that I knew such a brilliant person like this that I could go to for anything? I was so lucky, and so many people are not that blessed or lucky or appreciative. So when I kind of changed my perspective a little
Mhm,
bit,
mhm,
I stopped crying so much.
mhm.
And I actually felt selfish with saying that for 10 days. I. I started feeling more appreciative and blessed and thinking of the wonderful things. And another thing that I would do is when I was having my hardest times, which I still am. You saw me crying 2 minutes ago. Um, I stop and I say, well, what would she do?
I know, that's right.
What would she do right now? And I know what she would do. She would say, cut the crap, stop it. Put your big girl panties on. You've got this. You don't need me. You still hear my voice, apparently, and keep going. And that's what Lisa and that's why we do these videos, right? We're almost up
Yes,
to 100 videos now, and we do this to help others. And it's easier for us as teachers from our experience with loss, of course, and with our clients. But now, bam, it happens to you.
yes,
And unfortunately, what we try and tell people is nobody's out of the loop, and
that's
it's
right.
expected for everybody. This is a
That's
part of
right.
life,
That's right.
right?
That's right. So, and I appreciate you sharing that. I'll share a couple stories. My daughter, who was 21 at the time and friends with some really important people in her life, this guy foolishly mixed some drugs and some alcohol. He was a new father. The baby was pretty young at the time, wasn't married, and died. And I got the phone call from her. I'll never forget that call because she was screaming into the phone. She was 21 years old, and that was 16 years ago. And besides the shock of it, just the pain was just I mean, incredible, especially for a young person like that to go through. So that was a story. And later on, we'll talk about memorializing people and what some people do. But anyway, this was a dear, dear friend, and the other friends leaned on each other to try and get through just a horrendous time. The same thing for my father, who died so suddenly at 57. I mean, all his friends were in such shock. He was on a vacation and died, of a heart attack. And I think about his friends and what they said to me and how shocked they were that this could happen because it reflected on their own mortality and their own lives and how difficult it was for them to get through that. And then my own friend, we featured a couple in January, and he died. He died, I guess, maybe 2 months ago. It's hard to remember, but I've been on the phone with his wife, my other friend, often, really often, and she keeps saying to me what a difficult time she's having. And I said, of course, you were together 57 years, you were married 53 years, you thought you'd grow old together, and these people were really dear friends of mine. So yeah, I know this from my own perspective as well. And as we get older, it's probably going to happen more. Um, But
Well, and you know what's really difficult too. Um, so I'm in several networking groups. That's how we originally met, but we're in a couple mastermind groups together.
mm,
Um, and one turned into more of a personal group where four of us women get together monthly and we try new restaurants
mm,
and we vent and we talk about business, but we talk
nice.
about personal. And so my friend was a part of this, okay? And the other three of us are getting together this Friday. And I'm so scared for that. I'm just afraid because the dynamics are not going to be the same,
Sure.
and it's going to be sad. Um, but I'm already thinking, only because Lisa and I talk about this so much and I know about some of this, I'm already thinking, well, there was so many other supportive friends that we got to know of hers that helped with everything. And maybe we should invite one or two of them and change things up a little bit.
Yeah,
And isn't that something that we talk about, Lisa?
it is. It is.
We
It
talk
is.
about changing things and making them a little bit different. And I think that that would help me a little bit because I wouldn't feel like that there's a missing link.
Yes.
Every
Yes.
Tuesday morning, which was this morning, four of us are in another different mastermind group with a woman from Florida, a woman from Jersey. And the four of us, we've been doing this since I've had my business anyway, but for a long time. And I was so nervous to get in that meeting because now I'm not going to see four squares on Zoom.
Yeah.
Now there's only three. And it's not right. And it doesn't feel good without her. She was a big part of that.
Sure. Sure.
So I did mention at the end, and they're very dear to me too, but I mentioned that maybe something that we could think about this next week is maybe thinking about who in our circles we might want to invite as a fresh, new guest,
Yes. Yes.
to
Yes.
be in that group. Because I don't know if I'll continue to suffer that pain over another year of just seeing the three blocks, not the four. And the same thing with our dinner every month. That was a totally different group, but there's a missing link.
Sure. Sure.
So
You know,
how do we do that? Do we make changes or what?
there are lots of suggestions on dealing with grief, but I just want to back up just for 1 second for people who are going through different stages, which we've mentioned before. But I want to mention them and with some suggestions also with that. With the 5 stages of grief that everybody talks about, the denial part, one of the helpful solutions that were mentioned in one of the articles was to allow through the denial part, allow you to look over photographs and listen to meaningful songs and visiting gravesite and doing things that make it real, reminders of the close relationship, accepting the reality. The anger part, they talk about looking through channels for your anger. And so maybe through exercise or running or swimming or something, whatever that would help. It's interesting about bargaining. You find yourself saying, if only I had called them, if only that kind of thing. And it gives a perspective, of course, talk about the feelings to closest people. And they'll support you and give you another perspective. Of course, depression, which is a biggie. And so journaling, which we've talked about before, and reading can help you avoid some of the unhealthy habits or vices maybe that, would not be a good idea to get into. And then acceptance, you find ways to commemorate the life of that friend. Okay. And that gets us into tips for handling the grief. And you already started talking about these, that I want to talk about what my daughter did with
One
the
one
other
second,
person.
1 second, because I really want to hear that story.
Sure.
But I do just want to tell you this last piece that she wrote an article every month for an online magazine. And she was so proud of that. Like when it came time to that time of the month to writing this article, And she was just so proud of doing it, the way it came out, everything. So over the past couple weeks, I've talked with, the publisher of that magazine who asked me if I'd like to fill in and take over that spot of writing these articles. It's all about positivity and life, and it has nothing to do with end of life.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
something totally, but that's always been in my wheelhouse to be a positive person. And I got to tell you, not everybody will have that opportunity when they lose a friend. But because of that, I almost feel like, wow, I'll be honoring her and
Yes.
carrying on her legacy a little bit.
Yes.
And that feels so good to me to be able to do that for
That's
her,
wonderful. That's
right?
wonderful.
So
Yes.
things like
Yes.
that
Yes.
we could think of doing thereafter,
Yes.
to honor your friend in such a way
Correct.
that will make you feel
Correct.
good.
Correct. So what, correct. And so what my daughter and the other friend did for this baby was they started a fund, a college, an education fund. And they also became very close to his mother. This was her last child. She already lost a child, and this was her last child. So they have supported her. She just died a couple of weeks ago, but they supported her all the way through. Visited her, talked about him, and then made life really nice for the baby, who's now 16 years old. So that's what they decide to do. And it's been a really wonderful tribute, to that father
Sure.
who the baby really never knew. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's what they decide to do.
Yeah.
Um, so there are a lot of tips for handling grief. I'll just say, just objectively, obviously allow yourself to heal. And people don't give themselves time. I guess they think, okay, you know, they're gone and time to move on and that's it. And that's not really what it is. I mean, listen, you are in the field and you feel it and difficult really functioning and difficult being able to just do your daily things. I mean, that's what we're talking about here because life changes. That person had an immediate impact on your life. And so to expect us to just, okay, now we're going to move on with our lives, that is just unrealistic and doesn't give really the true pride in that friendship that we had.
My
And
brain, Lisa, my brain has been so foggy.
yeah,
It's hard
yeah,
for me to focus,
yeah,
you know? But another thing that I will do is one of the things we've done the last couple of years, as a matter of fact, we wanted to, we live on Long Island. This is a beautiful place. And we wanted to try new beaches and just take our chairs and a lunch and go and sit at the beach and read a book and tell stories and spend that time. So we put it on the calendar every month and we'd go to at least 2 to 3 beaches during that month. And we did that. So that's another thing, right?
yes,
That you can do as friends. Something that you did together and carry that on. And I think I'll do that by myself. I don't need to have somebody filling. Maybe I'll bring 2 chairs and leave the other one empty. I don't know
right.
about that.
Yeah.
That's creepy. But
Yes.
what is funny is I was at Costco recently, and you know how they have the chairs there, the beach chairs.
Yes. Yes.
They're called who's the guy? Um, I don't know. It's a brand. Everybody
Okay.
knows it in Costco.
Okay.
So I'm like, mine broke last year, and I need to get one so I could go to the beach a couple times. So I buy the chair. It's still in the plastic, right? It's in my trunk. The other day I needed something that I knew was in my trunk. Pulled out the chair, pulled out all the grocery store bags that I have 500 of them now,
Yeah.
pulled out something else and something else. And guess what's on the bottom? A beach chair that is not broke. I don't know why in my head did I think the beach chair was broke. A perfectly good beach chair. So now I can bring 2 to the beach. But
Yeah.
no, I'm kidding around like I'm kidding around. But I continuing that will be therapeutic for
Yes.
you to
Yes.
do some of the things that you did together with your friend,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it's huge. They're a big part of your life. They
That's
fill
right.
us friends fill a space that your husband doesn't. that
That's
your
right.
kids don't, no
That's
matter
right.
how close you are with them, that your neighbor doesn't, that your cousin doesn't. A friend is there by choice,
Yes,
you
that's right.
know, and you
That's right.
laugh and you cry together, and all these intricate feelings are there. So it's one of the harder losses, I
It
think.
is. That's right. And it's a unique relationship
A
for those of
unique,
us who have had it. That's right. So interesting. One of the reminders or one of the suggestions is to do something in their memory. So that might be, taking part in one of their favorite hobbies. Look, you might be taking over this once a month thing, which is wonderful. You might support charities, maybe that they believed in, or sharing their life stories. Do something that makes the grief, easier because you feel like you're continuing, their memory. I mean, a lot of people do, the charities like whatever they died of, American Heart Association, or for me, my husband, of course, was the pancreatic cancer, stuff. But anyway, knowing what they believed in or knowing what they love to do and being able to continue that to me is incredible. That's an incredible gift,
yeah.
in that person's memory. Yeah.
Hmm.
And of course we've talked about this too, but creating a memory book or even a photo album, that brings out all the things that you shared together and continues to memorialize the wonderful special relationship that you had. So again, all those things we have talked about before, but now it's something that personally, has affected, you certainly at this stage. So,
Yeah.
journaling, reading, listening to music, all those things, which we've talked about in the past again. But again, that special relationship that you have with a friend is just very different from any other relationship. Yeah.
I'm I'm lucky, and all of you listening to this are lucky in many ways. You have to cherish and be grateful for having had that kind of relationship with somebody. One of the things we've talked about on our show, Lisa, in the past is the home videos,
Yeah.
right? So you know that I've had a hard time with that, and it's been many, many years now. You haven't? I have, and that shows us the difference in our personalities, all right? Now, what I'm about to say is really odd in my brain. Um, so my friend had a podcast, right? A video podcast. So it was just this past week, and she's only been gone for I don't know, 2 weeks now or something. The days roll into each other, and I was sad, and I'm in my living room, and something made me cry, and I'm just like, again, how am I going to do this? I can't do this. And I put YouTube on, and I went to her channel,
Wow.
and I started watching a few of her shows.
Wow.
So I don't know how I could do that,
Hmm.
but I'm struggling still with home videos. But I did, and I watched a few, and
Nice.
I didn't cry.
Nice.
I didn't cry. It made me feel so good to watch her positive spirit
Yes.
teaching the world so many of the things that she knew and that she was
Nice.
smart at.
That's
So I don't
beautiful.
know. You have to figure that one out for me. Tell me what the
Wow.
deal with that is.
Wow. Wow.
But I'm glad that it's there. And in my head, it's comforting because I know whenever I really do want to hear her voice, I can just hear her
Wow.
voice really.
Wow.
Something I did was I watched her show with her since she started her shows, and they were on every Tuesday late at night, and every single one. And then she'd pick up the phone and she'd say, "Okay, how was it? What do you think?" And I'd be like, "Oh my!" So out of the hundreds that I've seen, there was only one bad one that I just was like, "Oh,
Hmm.
who
Hmm.
is this person she's interviewing?" Like it
Yeah.
was just, and I
Yeah.
told her, but all the other hundreds were awesome. They were
Yeah.
so good. So I found that very comforting. And unfortunately, not everybody will have that with their friend, but you have to find that little nugget, right? You have to find that thing that you had between the two of you
Yeah,
and
that's right.
and implement it some way. Maybe it was just going to a diner on Saturday mornings. Well,
Mm-hmm.
maybe start going to that diner and by yourself, maybe at first, right? And then maybe inviting someone else, and somebody else will fill that space.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It'll be different,
Yeah,
like
it'll
we
be
always
different.
talk about, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Who knows? It's made me question everything in my life, Lisa. Everything that I know about end of life, this has really made me question. And things like we are here for a short time.
We are.
I always say that. We always say that. We
Yeah,
believe in that philosophy,
we
but
do.
it's really true. We don't know if we have tomorrow. So stop worrying so much about the stupid things.
Yes.
Sometimes something comes up and I get filled with anxiety or something with my boys or whatever. And then I stop and I say, so in
Yeah.
5 years from now,
Yeah. Will this
that,
matter?
is that going to
Yeah.
bother me?
Yeah. Yeah.
No. And
Yeah.
I release it. I
That's right.
release it and let it go.
Right.
So
That's right.
it's really hard with this kind of a loss, but
True.
we
I
can
want to
work on it.
I want to bring up a program. Usually programs are not so incredibly realistic and they don't cover subject matter that is so personal. But A Million Little Things last night came to an end, and I don't know how many people watch it. It
I
started with the
do.
suicide of a friend, okay? And it ended with an assisted suicide because the guy is on stage 4 suffering, and he asked his friends to please help him so that he didn't have to suffer anymore.
You had that
And
recorded, Lisa.
it
You
is,
had it recorded
it
because
is,
I saw it already, the last
it's
one, isn't
incredible,
it? It is.
incredible. And all those friends sitting around talking about how Gary had affected their lives and all their memories and all as they're laughing and all, and as he's leaving this life was so beautifully done, so incredibly done. And that 8-year old who asked, do you want, like you showed me about that bird who was suffering, do you want Gary to suffer, too? Um, wow, incredibly done, incredibly so, you know, beautiful and so perfect for us talking today. And it moves ahead, because that was the last episode. It moves ahead to 16 years and how, you know, the 16-year-old who was, very young at the time watched the last video that he had made. He made videos for his son as he grew up. And he talked about how you must be driving by now and mom, you must be going crazy. And I mean, they watched it together and she's moving on with her life as well. He went to the graveyard and said, I think I met this guy who maybe I will, go out with. And, but I miss you, Mendez. Very well done. Beautifully
It
done.
was that was very, very well done, and that shows the support of friendships and how everybody came together. It just brought to mind, and look, you're crying over
Yeah,
that,
I
but
am.
yeah.
It was
But no,
beautiful.
I cried hysterical, and I still have it on my DVR, because I thought it was so well
It
done at the
was.
end of
It
life.
was. It
No,
was.
not that one.
Oh, which
This
one?
is us.
Oh,
This is
I didn't
us.
watch
That
that. Okay.
if you can catch that last episode, but that was with their mom who passed away. So incredibly done. So incredible how they came together. I know we're talking about friendships today, but that just came to mind when you brought that up.
Yeah.
But definitely the support, the support, the support. And even now, even today, weeks later, some of her other very close friends who I wasn't close friends with, right? Because we all
Yeah.
have,
Sure.
you're not all in the group, right?
Sure.
She's
Sure.
got a best friend there, she's got a good friend there, whatever. We're all still texting each other and
Yep.
checking in just to
Yep.
make sure you're okay. The other day, I stopped. There was a Red Lobster between us, and we just met in at the bar, and we had a glass of wine and we were able to chat. One other day, I met somebody at a diner for a cup of coffee just to catch up and chat. And maybe some of these different friendships in my life will form because we were
Yes,
there to support each other.
that's
And I
right.
believe that God wants us to do that. You know, that's what we're supposed to do as human beings.
The beauty of that person is that they live on, and we talk about legacy all the time, and they live on through all the different relationships that they formed and the things that they believed in, and that goes through, and that's what should continue. Because we
Think
know
about
that,
the things. Think about the things that they taught you.
yes,
That they taught you. I'm constantly thinking of the things that I never knew. And she was so much smarter than me. She knew everything about everything. Whether it was when was the last earthquake in Indonesia? She'd know for some odd reason. You know, she was just very smart about a lot of things. And that's the biggest thing, you
yeah,
know, that I don't have that walking encyclopedia, next to
yes,
me.
yes,
But
yes,
I'm so grateful that she was able to come into my life and present me with such a different flavor of friendship that I've
yes,
ever had before.
yes.
So I'm really lucky for that.
Yes, yes. There's some poem about a friend, you meet friends for different seasons and different reasons. And
Mm.
it's interesting. I don't remember the whole poem that just came to me. I don't, but it's a really wonderful way of looking at different people in your life because they do come in at different points in your life and they do make a difference in different stages of your life. So, she impacted you in a special way at this point in your life. And,
And I'm a better person
yeah, yeah,
for have known her,
yes,
for have
yes.
knowing her. And I would love to hear that poem.
Me too. I will have to find it because it was something that was given to me. You know it, right? You've heard it
I
before?
don't I don't think so. I'm not sure. I'm not
All right.
sure, but
Talk,
that's
talk.
okay.
Yeah. I'm going to just see if I can just find it really fast, okay? Because you can find everything on the internet all the time.
Are you sure,
Um,
Lisa? Because we do many, many of these shows, and we can talk about that anytime you can bring. We do
sure.
many, many. No, I'm kidding,
Yeah,
but
but
you
it's
know
some,
what I mean.
yeah,
And I
it's
gotta tell you, I was afraid of doing this video today. When you had asked me and we talked about friendships, and I knew you knew in your heart that it would be too raw for me. I knew in my heart that it was too raw for me, and I thought about it last night, and I thought, what am I doing? What am I doing? I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to do this right now. And it was the oddest thing because for the first day in weeks, I woke up feeling okay today.
wow.
I did. I
Wow.
woke up feeling
Wow.
okay. I have two other appointments today, and I feel like okay. It's sunny out. It's a beautiful day, and I will be okay.
Of
I
course.
will.
Of course. I've got it because the internet's amazing. The internet's just an amazing tool, you
I
know?
know.
So it's called a reason, season, or lifetime. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. When you figure out which one it is, you will know what to do with each person. When someone is in your life for a reason, it is usually to meet a need you have expressed. They have come to assist you through a difficulty, to provide you with guidance and support, to aid you physically, emotionally, or spiritually. They seem like a godsend, and they are. Then they are there for the reason you need them to be. Then, without any wrongdoing on your part or any inconvenient time, this person will say or do something to bring the relationship to an end. Sometimes they die. Sometimes they walk away. Sometimes they act up and force you to take a stand. What we must realize is that our need has been met, our desire fulfilled, their work is done. The prayer you sent up has been answered, and now it's time to move on. Then people come into your life for a season because your turn has come to share, grow, or learn. They bring you in an experience of peace or make you laugh. They may teach you something you have never done before. They usually give you an unbelievable amount of joy. Believe it, it is real, but only for a season. Lifetime relationships teach you lifetime lessons, things they must build upon in order to build a solid emotional foundation. Your job is to accept the lesson, love the person, and put what you have learned to use in all other relationships and areas in your life. It is said that love is blind, but friendship is clairvoyant. Isn't that neat?
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that neat?
You have to send that to me. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
that's really good.
Yeah,
That's really good because like we compartmentalize everything, different things in our life. It's the same with friendships.
it is. It
The
is.
same with
And
friendships.
friends are so different. There are friends that we can talk to. There are friends that we learn lessons from. There are friends that we call whenever. I mean, I've had friends. I have one friend that I basically have known since I was a baby. I have another friend from high school. I have another friend from when my new mom came into my life because she brought in the family that she was friends with, and he was the same age as me. So there's different friendships at different points in your life, and new friends.
And
So
with the new friends too that we don't expect, like I was talking about the new, the support system with her other friends that I've got the pleasure of meeting. I could imagine at some point down the road, maybe 6 months from now, maybe a year from now, but maybe let's all get together and have a little celebration,
yes, yes, yes,
in her honor because they
yes,
would love that. I would love that.
yes.
So there's new things and life is hard.
Life is hard. Life is hard. But you enjoy each day and you make the most of your life. You put things into perspective and you accept all the bad and the good. That's all part of living,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
I so appreciate you doing this today.
Mm,
I I know I pushed you a bit because you do this for a living, but people should know and understand that we're both human beings, that we still go through so many things, and that it's not just that we have advice, that we feel things too, and that we know, we understand. So,
thank you, Lisa. I thought it would be all about crying.
but it's
I
not.
did. I thought I'd cry through the whole thing, but I smiled and I laughed and it's all good.
It is all good.
It's all good.
It is all good. Why don't you talk a little bit about some of the things that you are doing? Because you are doing many, many beautiful, wonderful things. One of them, of course, is a celebrant. Talk about that.
Well, yeah. So on Long Island, I've been working as a funeral celebrant and I help with the order of services and I bring people in to speak and I come up with readings and prayers and poems. And the nice part about being a celebrant and what I do is I'm not just somebody who doesn't get to know you, that writes a few things about your loved one
Yes.
because end of life is so close to my heart. So I come and I sit with the family for probably about 2 hours. And because of the legacy work I do, it's natural for me to record our conversation and to come home and build that into a beautiful tribute for the person that you lost. So reach out to me anytime about that. I'm also doing some counseling for people who are going through a loss, believe it or not. And if you have a family member or friend who's passing and you want to help as much as you can and don't know what to do, so we can get together a few times and I can guide and support you on going through that process.
Nice.
So these are just a few of
Wonderful
the
work.
things I'm doing. Lisa, what's going on with you lately
Well,
besides traveling the world?
besides traveling and seeing wonderful things and experiencing daily things. So next week for the Cope Foundation, I'll be doing a really nice online Zoom presentation called Honoring Parenthood. It's between Mother's Day and Father's Day. And so we'll talk about not only our own parents, but some of us who lost spouses were parents, obviously to our children. So how do we honor them as well? And help our children remember them and honor them. So I'll be
Do you
doing that
have the
next.
link offhand? If
You know,
anybody
I
wants
wish
to
I
register for
wish
that?
I did. I wish I
They
did.
can
I
go
will.
on to
I'll. Yeah,
Cope's website
I will.
or
Yeah.
um it's in conjunction with Pine Lawn Cemetery too, right?
No, this is not. This is an
Oh, it's not,
independent
it's
Cope
just
fund.
Cope.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
because I know they
So,
do a lot together.
yes, they
I've
do.
spoken for the two
Yes,
of them as well.
yes, yes.
Okay, so
I'll
maybe you
include
can
that
post the link. Yeah.
when I do. Yes, when I do the article, I will definitely post that link so that people can register for it. So that's next
Okay.
Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. So,
Okay.
of course,
Wonderful.
I'm also still available for people who are trying to cope with moving on with their lives, or people call it moving forward. And as we said, everybody is different and goes through a different process. Um, you know, it's hard. It's just very and painful. So, yeah. So I'm
Just be
available today.
gentle. We didn't get too much into the nurturing part, but as a last note, so important.
Yeah,
Go sit
yeah.
at the beach, go get a massage, be
Yes,
nice to yourself.
that's right. That's right. Good, Susan. Well, thank you again.
And we won't see you for Memorial Day, but we'll do our video next Tuesday,
We will.
right?
We will.
Okay.
Have a
So I'll see
great
you
week.
then. Have a
Yeah.
wonderful weekend.
Take care.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening in.
Bye bye.